You are now listening to the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, the Going North podcast. I'm your host, certified self-leadership trainer and author of the best-selling book, Stay the Course, Dom Brightman. And you're going to be getting some goodies today from the guest that's up next. How's it going, my friend? It's your host, Dom Brightman here, just giving you a quick forewarning / disclaimer that, hey, these podcasts are recorded on average 2 to 3.5 months ahead of the release date. So if you're hearing today's episode, most likely it was recorded 2 to 3.5 months before it was launched. So just throwing it out there in case you hear something that may sound a little off. That's the reason why. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as GMP, the Great, Glorious, and Glamorous, the Going North podcast, we got another super special, awesome human for you today, folks. And what makes this man super special, awesome, is because my man grew up on some ranches, y'all. Some ranches in the big old state of California, and Arizona, land of the Cardinals, that fosters love for the history of the American frontier, y'all. And to put the icing on the cake, my man joined the United States Army, where he met his wonderful wife that he married back in 2001, with whom they now have 3 wonderful children with. And he actually spent a tour in Iraq in 2003, and between his childhood on ranch combined with his love of the West, mixed with his military service, led him to create the wonderful recipe of his first ever book, folks, Tom's Revenge. So let's give it up for Mr. J.E.W. himself. Man, that spells something, but I'm not going to say what that stands for. It stands for Mr. James Edward Webb. How you doing today, James?
I'm doing great. Been trying to keep warm, but hey, laughter does all that.
That's right, indeed. Laughter does it, indeed. It's good for the soul. That's right, indeed. That's right,
That
indeed.
was one thing that we could always count on, didn't matter how bad stuff got. As long as we could bust out a joke and laugh, it made the day that much better.
Heck yeah. That's right. Making it better and not butter, right?
Land of milk and honey.
That's right. We're going to be milking all the corny jokes tonight, folks. That's right. The cows have to beware now.
The chickens too.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be an excellent time. Oh, man.
No bull about that.
Well, before we go any deeper down that rabbit hole of shiitake mushrooms, I'm pretty sure with all introductions, I probably forgot a whole bunch of things. So my goodness, mind filling in any cavities I may have missed about you, my man?
Well, no, that pretty much sums it up. I actually started writing for therapy for the PTSD from Iraq, and I found it to be a good way to kill some of the demons.
Definitely understandable, man. Thanks a bunch for your service too, man, because that definitely takes a lot of guts to really serve the country and definitely come back alive and still having to face the aftermath of it, man. So my goodness. How many years did you serve? Are you still active duty or?
I did 7 before they put me out under medical, so I'd still be in if they would have let me. Go over there and kick some crazy Ivan butt.
Oh man, what's I'm talking about? Well, thanks for your lucky 7, my man. Glad you came back alive, man, and you're able to find an outlet to help you through the PTSD, man. So is there anything else that's been helping you out? Because I know we've got some veterans who listen to the show as well.
Well, writing and laughing. In fact, one of my favorite things to listen to is when I'm absolutely at that brink of wringing somebody's neck, even if it's my own, is "Who's on First" by Abbott and Costello. It's by the end of that, you've put all your aggression on Lou Costello as he's trying to figure out what Bud Abbott's saying, who's on first. you know, it, it's a nice transference technique. It really is. Let somebody else take all that just aggravation for a moment and let you clear your mind.
Ah, there you go. There you go. You ever go back to the West to try to channel some good old days of the growing up on the ranches in some peaceful country?
Yeah, we took a trip out there back in about 5 years ago. We drove out and went and seen my parents up in Oregon and drove down and seen family in California and tried to hit up a lot of different places. And the amazing thing is how much it has changed over the years. And one of them is those big eyesores that try to stir up the wind. They say he's making electricity, but I don't see very few of them actually working.
Mm, ouch.
so.
That's gotta suck.
I tell you, the other day we got some of those power windmills up around here, and we went for a drive the other day, and the wind's picking up 60 plus miles an hour in gusts. And of the 50 something windmills that we've seen that should be running, making power, four of them were turning.
Mm-mm.
I'm like, you're supposed to be using those produced power to save on carbon emissions, and yet you have all the brakes on. What are you waiting for a calm day?
uh, the times are
That
where
comes
everything's
back.
bass ackward.
I tell you, sometimes I was thinking about this the other day as one of the greatest gifts that man was given was the ability to progress. And yet, at the same time, it's a double edged sword. You know, we can progress, but are the areas in which we're making progression really that beneficial to our society?
Hey, solid question indeed. I mean, the double edge, at least the good edge, the one that's cutting through the negativity, is basically allowing almost anybody and their mother to become a writer nowadays and publish a book.
Yeah, yeah. My kids asked me about that one time. They said, "Dad, how do you do that?" I said, "Well, you have your main story that you're going through, but the next time you read a book, look at how many stories are actually inside that story. Because every character's kind of got a little backstory. You got to find out about this guy and about this person and about this. So by the time you get to the end of your main story and you found out about your characters, you've got a book of 1,000 stories to make that one story progress. So if you can't think of those backstories and come up with those 1,000 little stories, you're just going to end up with a short story.
So that's why they take 3 pages to describe a chair. Let me stop.
and those are the ones that get turned into movies. I've watched Lord of the Rings. I haven't read it, but if it's anything like the movies, that's a long story. It may be good, but it's a long story.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, it's so freaking true. Saw me about that the other day, man. And that's a powerful point you brought up about like just the overarching story is really a combination of many stories to make the big story. Like that's so darn true. That could even be encouragement for aspiring writers.
Yeah, and the other, when it comes to it, there'll times be times when I pick up pen and paper just to write something short because writing gives you the ability to be the creator, to have control over and mastery over one realm that's yours. You get to choose who lives. You get to choose who dies. You get to choose if it rains or if it snows or if it's a bright sunny day and everybody's out flying a kite. And the cool thing is I can kill somebody and not go to prison. I can save a life and not be called a hero.
Hey.
So sometimes you pick up that pen and paper just to be able to let that frustration of somebody that's bugging you out on paper. Then you wipe your hands with it and you go walk away. You feel a little bit better about it. It does its job.
Yeah. Funny enough, as you were saying that, reminded me of a past episode. I think the episode was called "Turn Your Pain into a Paycheck." And the author was like, "Yeah, that's the good thing about being an author. It's like if you got an argument with them, and an hour later you thought of a good comeback. It's like, you know what? You're gonna put you in my book. You're going in my books, and they're gonna have no idea either."
Well, I wish I would have researched a little bit more. Somebody told me that I asked really what is the best genre to get into? What pays the most? The answer I got was ransom notes.
Oh god. I guess romance is number two, huh? That's freaking gold. Ransom notes. That's freaking hilarious. So, my goodness, my man actually didn't go that route. You actually went the Western route, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. Yeah, I grew up watching John Wayne and reading Louis L'Amour and Zane Grey and living in that area and with a lot of Louis L'Amour's books, I've actually been to the places that he wrote about, and getting to go out, and some of these there's places out there that the average person can't get to go out to, and seeing some of these places that at one point was the center of civilization for that area that no longer exists. And yeah, Hollywood has romanticized the West, and you know, really the start of it was the dime novels with these authors coming out from New York to write about people like Jesse James and Billy the Kid, and over embellishing these people when the reality of the world at that point was completely different than what Spence had told to us. You know, there was a point when depending on what part of the country you were in, it didn't matter who you were, where you were from, what you had done. Nobody cared about. As long as you could contribute to the society that they had been growing up, if you could speak the language and you could communicate it and you could be a working part of that society, you were accepted. Nobody cared where you were from, what your education was, who your parents were, what they had done before. Nobody cared. As long as you could contribute, you know, and everybody's world was as far as their eye could see, pretty much. Ours is today too, but our eyes can see around the world with the internet.
Oh yeah, been around the world now, yeah, 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 baby. That's right. That's right, indeed.
And that's the thing. With the world with it is we are given a better picture of what's happening, but a lot of times is that picture really conveying the information that we're being told about it. We can see events as they unfold around the world, and yet we don't take the opportunity that's get afforded to us to change the future by changing the present, when the whole world's trying to go backwards and change the past to make the present look better.
Yeah, man. Definitely right about that. With the way things are now, it's like in real time. You can get information quicker than your, some may call them propaganda stations, the big corporations and everybody else. And it'll be closer
you
to
know
the truth than what you see later.
My great grandfather used to always tell us, never believe anything you hear and only half of what you see.
Mm. Oh,
And you
yeah.
better be looking at the half that they're not showing you.
That's right. That's right, dude. You wake up and you got a leg missing. It's like, what the heck happened to me? It was a trap. It was a trap this whole time.
Nurse, I can't feel my legs. No, we have hands.
Oh man. Oh my goodness, man. With all that wonderful knowledge and being brought up in the West and just really growing up and eventually creating your own piece of admiration for the West, what was probably the most fulfilling piece of finally publishing your first book?
It wasn't until actually holding the book in my own hands that it became a reality. That's when it really sunk in that I am now a published author.
That's right. Probably felt like a professional wrestler with the world title. It's like, yeah, the boyhood dream is finally realized, baby. Yeah. The world champion.
I kind of liken it to having a child. It starts off the idea from the before it's conceived in your mind, and as you're putting it onto paper and watching the story develop, and then you send it off, and it goes to the editing and the proofreading and the editing and the proofreading. Kind of like going to school until it gets to a point it's ready to step out the door and head off to college. You know, and when it comes to editing, it's kind of like having a toddler anyway. You read the same book over and over and over and over. Yeah, and I wouldn't change it for the world though. It's fun to come up and have little jokes about it, but in the long run, I wouldn't change it. I enjoy doing what I do.
Amen to that. Amen to that. If I'm not mistaken, you actually published traditionally as opposed to going the indie author route, right?
Am with an actual publishing house. Yes, that was just making the right call at the right moment to the right person who gave me the name of the publisher to call.
Yes, indeed. So, what was that process like, my man?
Daunting. It really is. Because you got a great idea, you send it out, you got it all typed up, you send the email, and you get a whole list of the things that you need to change. So you go back in and you rework all of that. The story that I wrote in two notebooks by hand is not the same story. It is, but it isn't the same story that I got put into a bound book. These things here changed, things changed, and but the overall story stayed the same. It was just some of the minor details. Big one for me was dialogue. Really, when it comes to dialogue, take everything you ever learned in English, sweep it into a dustpan, and throw it away because it doesn't fit into dialogue writing at all.
uh, I got you. I got you. That's right. For those listening, probably remember the episode with Jeff Elkins, the dialogue doctor, y'all. So that's right. Give the doctor a call, indeed. Pick up some magical lessons, y'all. That's right, indeed. That's right, indeed. Because what you learn traditionally, as my man James just said, it may not be useful to you. You're bringing a toothpick to a gunfight.
And it ain't that Arkansas toothpick either. It comes down to one other thing too. Is since I've looked into these different things and kind of got myself a little bit off kilter a little bit with it, and I finally looked at my wife and I said, a lot of these things I've taken and done, I've learned a lot, but it's not me. That's not how I work. That's not how I write. And had to actually just forget all of that stuff and just go back to writing for why I was writing. And that was for the therapy. I write for myself. I just allow others to read it. you know, and I have to look at it that way because sometimes you get those that you like it, they don't like it. I'm not here to make everybody happy. I'm here to make myself happy.
Ah, there you go. That's right. My man's targeting the artist instead of targeting the audience, baby. That's right. He's following the target.
Yeah, it really is. What it boils down to is sometimes you just really do have to wake up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror, and go, "I'm the greatest thing there is in the world." Just gotta let the world know it now. It's not having self confidence; it's having confidence. It's about allowing, something greater than yourself work inside you.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Indeed, that's what I'm talking about. Indeed. So, my goodness, man, since you've been on this wonderful journey promoting the book, I'm pretty sure you've been on, let's see, it's probably like a fifth or sixth podcast. So, is there like a question that you wish you be asked more often when you're on the metaphorical hot seat?
I can't. There isn't one I can think of. I've been asked some, from what if I could be a superhero, what that superpower be, and everything like that. But I think when it boils down to it is giving everybody the idea that trust in yourself, trust in a higher power, have confidence that you can take and accomplish anything in this world one step at a time.
That's what I'm talking about. Indeed, that's right. Trust in yourself and trust in the higher power, y'all. That's what I'm talking about. Indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, here's a fun question for you since my man was asked about being a superhero. So, if your wonderful book, Tom's Revenge, was a food, what would it be and why?
Oh, I'd say it was an enchilada because it it's got layers and layers and layers. It is chock full of juicy stuff, and it's got a little kick at the end, a little spicy.
That's right. A little spicy indeed. A little spicy indeed. Well, coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive before Zoom does stupid stuff again. And that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you're 25 again, but you're in the current year of 2022 with all of your knowledge and experience. What advice would you give to yourself?
Oh, you know, live day by day. Live every day like it's your last, so you can go out with a grin.
Uh, there you go. Go out with the grin, y'all. That's right, indeed.
Yep. You know, I'm 41 years old. Some days I feel like my body says it's 90. Some days my brain says it's 20. But all in reality, age is a gift.
Heck yeah, indeed. Heck yeah, indeed. And I know what else is a gift? Your marvelous book to the masses and the molasses. So for those who need to buy some copies of your books and share with the rest of the world and keep up with all that you're doing, because I'm pretty sure you got more books coming up, what's the best way for folks to do so?
Well, you can get it on Amazon under Tom's Revenge. You can go to Tuscany Bay Books, and I believe it's on Barnes and Noble as well.
Woohoo! Well, that's what I'm talking about, folks. That's right indeed. So this book is an enchilada, y'all. So that's right. So for Taco Tuesday, if for some reason they don't have tacos, get yourself some enchiladas, aka this wonderful book, Tom's Revenge. Buy some copies for yourself and your family and your friends. Maybe even a camel too. So that camel could be called Tom, and he can get his revenge against the fake camels. Indeed, y'all. That's right. Indeed. That's right. Oh man. So any parting words before we close up shop, my man?
Everybody listening, go get your copy and let me know what you think. And keep eyes out for the next installment.
How's it going, my friend? I'm glad you made it to the end. That shows that you really enjoyed what you heard and you are an uncommon finisher. Thanks for giving this show a listen. If you really want to help out the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone that you care about or someone that needs to hear this message because we want to spread this podcast around like butter on bread if that's your type of thing. And if it's not your type of thing, still spread it around anyway because good stuff needs to be shared with good people like yourself.